Welcome to Discourse. Today we're talking about Ting by Tawny Chasney. Ting follows a group of people in this small town that are beset by a mystery. That's how we kind of get introduced to the story, right? There's a bit of a mystery at somebody's house, and it's kind of a scary mystery because there is like a graveyard or like a grave-sized hole in somebody's backyard.
Yes.
And we got to figure out why there's a grave in somebody's backyard that just like appears, right? And that's what instantly got me interested in this book. Is like, what is that hole doing back there? Second to that, one of the main characters, Lilly, finds like a piece of glass on her property. And it turns out to be a magical piece of glass that kind of channels her grandfather, and her grandfather can kind of help her through this magical piece of glass, which ends up being a crystal, I think. And so we got the combination of what this mystery is of this hole being dug in the backyard and this kind of paranormal element where her dead grandfather can speak to her through this piece of glass. And that's kind of where the story takes off. And as readers, we're like, what is happening?
Well, there's also the instance of Lilly. She gets stalked.
Well,
she follows her home.
She feels like somebody's like stalking her,
yeah,
right? Because the grave is dug in her backyard.
Yeah, so that also drives up the curiosity because you want to know, who is this person stalking her? Are they stalking her? Is she just paranoid because she lives alone?
Yeah, and I thought that was like a good moment where like, is she being stalked or is she just paranoid?
Because she is a single woman living alone.
Living alone up in the woods. She abandoned her life out in the city. She's like, I'm going to the country. Don't talk to me.
Yeah. And then you have this graveyard buried in dug up in your backyard.
Yeah, and I keep referring to it as like a grave because they kind of mention it, right? Like they say, oh, it's kind of spooky because it's like the perfect depth to bury a body.
Yeah. So they don't say, that whoever dug it up is going to bury a body, or specifically it is for a body. Yeah. But the way it's described in the book is it's the depth and the length of the size of a body. Yeah. So it gets you wondering, like, are they preparing to murder her and then put her in the grave? Or were they looking for something? So it immediately piques your interest and makes you want to keep on reading.
And I know you were worried, but don't worry. Sheriff Don shows up and calms everybody down.
Yes.
So Lily's the person that's lived there for a while. Joanne is the newcomer. They're both best friends. And I know at least that you really liked their friendship.
Their friendship. How they relied on one another and they had that sisterhood. They took care of one another. They were best friends. And when Lily sensed something was wrong, Joanne was there for her to make her feel comfortable. So it was nice to see the friendship.
Yep. And then when Joanne was making eyes at Sheriff Don, Lily was like, I got you. Let me hook you up.
Let's get you invited to the dance.
Woo. And so we progress from there. I don't want to give too much away because this is a really good short story. Yeah. It's really fast. I got through it in a weekend, right? Mm-hmm. We progress from there to find out what that mystery is, who dug the hole, what are the limits of this crystal that's channeling her grandfather, how does it work? Yeah. We dive into all of those different details that are pretty fascinating, and I'm always impressed with how quickly we get through all of this in as few pages as possible.
Yes. It reminded me of R.L. Stine's Fear Street novels. They're perfect to read over the weekend, knock them out in a couple of days, and it gives you that thrill and intensity and chill that you're looking for. Quick paced, right to the point, without all the heft.
A small package, right? Yeah. So R.L. Stine moved on from like middle grade books into like writing like teen, young adult, suspenseful.
You get like the crazy girlfriend or the crazy boyfriend.
And I like your comparison to this because it's kind of similar. We got the crazy boyfriend in there. We got some paranormal elements. Mm-hmm. And I guess this could be for like new adult or young adult as well. Yeah. And it's all done super quickly. So
it's something you want to read just over the weekend without the heft of a book. Yeah. If you don't have time, but you want to get into a good book with a good storyline, this is perfect for that.
You don't want to pick up Stephen King's latest 600-page tome of a book and just slam it down. You're like, yeah, this is going to be my beach read for today. No, this is way better as a beach read because it's portable, it's short, and you could probably, if you're a fast reader, you could probably finish it at the beach.
Yeah, and the writing is not complex. It's simple. You get through it. You get to the point. You don't have to sit there and think about like what is the author trying to convey in this story.
Yeah,
it's right there.
There's no mental gymnastics needed to figure out what's happening, right? Like there's a mystery, yes, but it's all solved. And you're right, it's all wrapped up by the end. There's nothing left to your imagination because it's given all to you. And I like that because I don't need to sit through like 6 more novels just to figure out what's happening. But that's not to say you cannot build this into a longer series because there are so many different people and things that can be explored further. Like, I want to learn more about that piece of glass / crystal that was given to her.
And if Lilly does if she is like a medium or if has some sort of special ability where she can speak to the dead or has some sort of power, maybe she's a witch.
Whoa, I don't think she's a witch. Exactly, but you're right, like there's some kind of paranormal element that needs to be explored further, right?
Relationships, I would like to see more of Lilly and Joanne's relationship.
Don't lie to me. You want to see more about Joanne and Don going to the dance, which is interesting because in a longer novel, you could explore Joanne and Don's relationship more, where in this one it's a short story, so you really can't. Like, we barely get to know that they are interested in one another. Don invites her to a dance, and then that's it.
Yeah.
So in a longer novel, we could have seen them go to the dance. And
I do like how they came together at the end for Becca. Yeah. More friendships were created that way. Again, you're in a small town. Everybody's going to know everybody's business. But then you build friendships upon that, and then you create like this neighborhood watch, so to say.
Yeah, I guess this is like an ensemble story, right? Where there's a lot of different people. We were introduced to Lilly and Joanne early, so I felt like they were the main characters, which they kind of are. But then we're introduced to a lot of different characters, and we switch our point of view between all of them, so you really get to understand everybody's point of view and their personality before they're thrown into the mystery. It's like a short book. So as you're learning about them, they're already in the mystery, right? Mm-hmm. And they all support one another. They're all very genial too, like super nice to each other. They make you want to live in these small towns. Like, is everybody nice out there? I still live in the city, so I don't know how people are nice out there in the country, but I want it.
Yes. I don't think we have neighbors like that.
I know, I don't have any neighbors like that, jeez. So as the mystery progresses, so I just mentioned that there's a lot of nice people in the town. There is one person that is not so nice in the story, and we find out, I don't want to give it away.
Yeah.
So he's not nice, let's say that. And it's such a contrast to the rest of the characters because, again, the characters are just so well-meaning and well-spoken.
They care for one another.
And they care for one another. Whereas Gary, bro, like, get your life together. It's not that bad, man. And he's just like...
And let your brother get his life together.
I guess there's just always got to be one bad apple, right? And so Gary's it. And he brings a lot of contrast to the story because he is the person that stands out as being different from everyone else. Yeah. And that's another character I would have liked to explore more to understand a little bit better about why he is the way he is.
His motives.
Not
so much. We kind of know his motives. I guess why he turned out as the bad apple.
Yeah, why he done did that, Gary? Jeez.
So Gary also gives purpose to the crystal, which...
Right. So I guess we should talk about the crystal a little bit because the crystal is the reason why the book has its title.
Ting!
The crystal, both tings and tongs, it basically can say yes or no, right? Or good or bad.
Yeah.
So it can ting and tong, and it's just tinging away, tonging away, and it's basically her grandfather.
You hear the name Gary and tong, tong, tong.
It's basically her grandfather telling her yes, no, good, bad.
Yes.
And even when she's like in conversation with her friend, her grandma or her grandfather's like chiming in. And in bad situations as well, he's chiming in. Yeah. So he's always there for her, and it's a comforting aspect for Lilly throughout the story.
I would have liked it to have been explored more. Like, I want more background on that.
Yeah, it's a weird combination, right? Like, we enjoy that it's a short story
Yeah.
because you can get through it quickly. But at the end, you're like, oh, that was nice, but I would have liked to have had
I
more.
want a little bit more.
And I think that's because of like the good writing and the good ideas.
Yes.
After you're done and you've enjoyed it, you then want to explore those ideas further.
Yes.
So I do kind of hope like this is a prequel to a longer series because we already have Lilly and Joanne and Dawn established, right? We already have the crystal established. And now we can go on to another crime-fighting
paranormal
adventure.
detective adventure where
Yeah.
Lily's the sidekick of Dawn, and
Yeah, or something like that, you know?
they fall in love.
Whoa, no, Joanne and Dawn fall in love. How dare you? So that would have been fun, and I hope that this is the beginning of a longer story. This is the second book of this author that I've read, and it's in a similar writing style between this one and her other novel, Carlton Downsized. Same style of writing, same genial characters, and you can really tell in that one, because it is a longer novel, that the author spends more time exploring her characters and motives. Whereas in this one, we're focused on delivering the story,
Yeah.
the interesting mystery quickly.
Yeah, and I think that that was the author's intention, right? To explore it quickly and more so to highlight the crystal. I feel like, I mean, that's the title
Ting.
of the book, yes. So I feel like that's the whole purpose of the story. And I found it to be interesting.
I liked how her grandfather explains the
Yeah.
glass/crystal to her.
I think that was one of my favorite scenes too. How he shows up and explains it to her.
Yeah, I like how her grandfather basically comes and breaks down how the crystal works and how he got into it and how it was a piece of glass, but now it's a crystal. And that kind of carries over, or that style of taking a deep dive into the explanation of paranormal elements in the story carries over into her other novel, Carlton Downsized. So you can tell that the author has spent a lot of time thinking about these elements to the story, and that really shows in the novel. There's also another thing that I like about this book is we were talking about how these people are very nice and genial, country folk, but don't get them confused because both Lilly and Joanne are packing heat.
Yes.
They will pull out their 357, their 9mm
So
Mauser.
do not walk into their house uninvited.
I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And it was such a contrast between them being super nice and she was like, wait a minute, let me get my
Enjoying
357.
some wine, having some pie, and then they were like, oh no, I will get my gun.
I was like, dang, they're about to wreck
Oh,
somebody.
I don't want to ruin it. I was going to say something, but I didn't want to ruin it.
Yeah, there's so much because it's so short, right? Like, by the time we talk about the good parts, like, we're already ruining the novel for you.
Yeah. Can say they can take care of themselves.
Let's just say they can take care of themselves, okay?
We'll leave it at that.
But beyond Lilly and Joanne, we're also introduced to the characters of Becca and Tom, which I find are the more emotional elements of the story,
Yes.
especially Becca because she's pregnant.
Yes.
She goes through a lot of strife in the story. And her husband, Tom, poor guy, he always seems to be like late to the scene, right? Like
He is.
Becca needs help. Not anything against him, it's just he shows up afterwards. Unfortunately, too, because apparently he has combat skills. Like, he knows how to fight. And I was waiting to have a scene where he is like kicking somebody in the teeth, but we never get that.
But it highlights Lilly and Joanne's abilities to kick someone in the teeth.
That's what I was going to say. It's what I thought was Tom was going to kick somebody in the teeth. But what we got was Lilly and Joanne pulling out their pistolas and taking care of business.
Plot twist.
I really loved, right? Women getting it done.
Yeah.
And it was totally not what I expected. But I do like Becca and Tom's relationship because they are, again, so loving, especially seeing where Becca came from.
They genuinely care for each other.
And then there's such a nice scene at the end. I don't think I'm giving away too much by saying at the end, it's a very nice community scene of everybody coming
Gives you
together.
like a Hallmark Channel kind of feel.
Yeah.
You know, everybody gets together. They're there for you. They got your back.
Yeah, so I think it's good. I think it's a good novel to quickly get through. Like I said, we got it through in like 2 days. It was very quick. I was just like flipping pages. because you want to know
just enough information, like the right amount. I mean, even though we did say we would have liked it to be a series to get more information, but for the size of the book, you get enough information, like the right amount of information.